everyone, it's Gojira Prime with another video, and today I just want to go over a few images I found on Facebook in regards to concept designs for Transformers back in 2010. But first of all, as always, I do have a Facebook page, Gojira Prime, where I do post images of the figures in my collection, links to any videos I do, and anything else I do find of interest. So if you have the time, please do find the page, hit the like, hit subscribe, and do feel free to comment on anything I do post. So the images in question are courtesy of Kapow Toys Limited, and they're sharing them from a larger article on cybertron.com in regard to concepts for G.I. Joe and Transformers back in 2010. So this is around about the time of the beginning of the Prime era. So I just want to take a look at some of those images, and just go back one, sorry. Where are we? There we are, sorry. So first image is of a concept design for Optimus Prime. I'm guessing this is from a larger presentation that was probably done at Hasbro or something, given how some of these are laid out. So Optimus Prime, leader of the Autobots, holder of the matrix of leadership, believes all living creatures deserve freedom. I quite like the Optimus design, actually. You can kind of see where they were going with it. It is very much like the end result we got with the Transformers Prime design for him. The legs, feet are very similar, the shoulder pads are very similar with the wheels tucked in there, the chest plate, and obviously the truck mode is pretty much identical to what we got in the show. But all in all, it's a nice concept design. I do like it. So let's see what we've got next. So Optimus Prime Power Up trailer discussion gives mobility and team command post anywhere action is needed. So in Transformers Prime, Optimus didn't really have a trailer much. I think he used it once or twice to carry a few bits and pieces around. But this design for the trailer that you can see here, it's very, very different. It is, in fact, a mobile artillery piece. Now, this is nothing new. We have had primes who have had mobile weapon launchers as part of their trailer sections before, but none as severe as this. I mean, this is a complete artillery piece, that basically it would have been quite interesting to see what this would have looked like in toy form, or at least even in the show. And then we have the titular Bumblebee character. Greatest quality is his open mind, heroic even if small and younger than the other Autobots, leaps before he looks, his youth and exuberance lets him connect with humans, which is pretty much what we got from Bumblebee in the Prime TV series. The robot mode is very similar to the Prime design that we got. You can see a bit of 2007 movie inspirations in there as well. The vehicle mode is very different though from the vehicle mode that we got in Prime. This design here that you can see on the screen reminds me more of a Camaro, I think, maybe. I don't know American muscle cars very well, so I could be giving the wrong model. But again, it's a much more realistic muscle car than the design we ultimately got in the television series. Then we get Ratchet, and out of all of these, Ratchet is a very, very heavily influenced by his 2007 live adaptation version in regard to the design of the vehicle mode. The robot mode, again, I would say it's movie inspired. It's more G1 inspired with the robot mode, and I say this purely because he has the visor in front of the face. And for those of us who do collect G1, you will remember that basically in the original G1 toy, the visor, the windscreen, was his face, essentially. And he's also got those two red horns on his head, which the G1 animated style model had. But I have to admit, again, I quite like this too. It's an interesting concept. It's certainly very different from the Ratchet figure that we got. But again, it takes very heavy cues from the live action series, and a slight nod to the G1 series as well. Next we have Ironhide, again a very heavily influenced live-action Ironhide in regard to vehicle mode and also in regard to the robot mode for the figure, except in this one there is much more red in the design. Now the interesting thing is we did actually get this design in the Prime toy line. It was actually used. I think it was used as Sergeant Cup and then as Ironhide possibly as well. So if I remember correctly off the top of my head. But again, a very nice concept design, a bit different from what we got, but again, taking very heavily influences from the live action series. But the head sculpt on this character here, I think, is definitely G1, much like the Ratchet was before it. Then we have Megatron, and I have to admit, out of all of them, this is probably the most different from what the original Prime designs came out as. In this version, Megatron is a tank, and from the way this animation model is, I'm guessing that this was a very large, very big, very bulky design for Megatron. One thing I do especially like about this, which just adds a slight menacing touch to it, is the fact that you can't actually see Megatron's face. All you can see is just his red eyes inside that helmet, and that adds a menacing quality, at least in my opinion it does anyway. So again, this is a very interesting design for Megatron. I'm not sure where they were going with the bat-like wings on him. Don't quite really get where they were going with that. You could have just gotten rid of those and just had the figure itself, and it would have looked great. But yeah, a very interesting design for Megatron. A little bit menacing, very big, very bulky. I'm guessing he would have towered over everyone else in the show if he had been this design. And then we have Starscream, and out of all of these designs, Starscream is a very G1 styled character. I mean, if you didn't know any better, you would assume this was just an evolution of the G1 design. He's got the null rays on his arms. The body type is completely G1. The jet mode is some sort of weird cross, by the looks of it, of an F-15 and an F-22. It's a little too G1 for my taste. If this was a new continuity design at the time, it's a little bit too much G1, I think, for me. But again, very, very interesting. And then we have Soundwave, and I have to admit, at first I thought I was looking at movie Soundwave, you know, the Revenge of the Fall, or Revenge of the Fallen, sorry, Soundwave, because this is so much a movie design. It's unbelievable. I'm just wondering if when they designed this version of Soundwave, they said, no, we can't use that in the cartoon. It's just too different. But hang on a second, we can use it in the live action movies instead. Because this is a spitting image of the live action character, to say the least. I'm guessing, though, from what you can see in this image, because he has tires on his arms and his leg, I'm guessing he was some kind of sports car design, like the Mercedes he was in the third Transformers film. But again, very, very interesting, very, very different from what we originally got in the Prime cartoon, but very, very close to what we got in the movie continuity only a couple of years later. And then the last one is Megatron, but different stages of him. This seems to be some sort of evolution of the character, going from the initial baseline tank Megatron to some sort of enhanced Super Megatron. Again, very, very interesting concept, very different from what we got. I still love the fact that they didn't give him a face. It was all blacked out and you just had these red menacing eyes. I find that really, really cool. And then back to Optimus again. So yeah, it's some interesting designs. I'd be curious if they ever actually would consider making the toy line for this as part of the Generations or maybe even the Selects line or something else. All the designs are very, very interesting. You can see where they were leading into in regard to the Prime TV show, but you can also see as well the heavy influencing of the live action series. So yeah, it's something interesting, something a little bit different. But you know, please do give me your comments in the comment section. Please do hit the like, hit subscribe, and thank you very much for taking the time to watch the video.